Is this normal? It's probably nothing serious. Maybe I'll feel better tomorrow.
Emergency symptoms can be good at hiding. That's why you shouldn't ignore symptoms like chest pain, high fever, trouble breathing, or severe stomach pain. They could be a medical emergency in disguise. Thankfully, an Eastside ER is ready to serve you 24/7 with fast wait times and dedicated ER experts, so we can quickly help turn your questions into answers. Visit eastsidemedical.com.
Broadcasting live from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio inside the Sonesta Gwinnett Place Atlanta Hotel. It's time for Gwinnett Business Radio. Gwinnett Business Radio is cared for by Eastside Medical Center, providing quality care to Gwinnett County and the greater Atlanta area for over 38 years.
And hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Gwinnett Business Radio. Mike Salmon alongside our Director of Sales and Marketing, Amanda Pierce. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning, Mike.
We are broadcasting live from the Subaru of Gwinnett studio in the beautiful Sonesta Gwinnett Place Atlanta Hotel, and we've got two business leaders here in the studio again today to feature and talk about. We're joined by Bobby Moeck with Nexstar Communications and Samantha Guley with Marlow's Tavern, and Samantha brought some goodies and stuff.
She did. We are enjoying a delicious beverage. Would you like to share with the class?
Samantha, tell us the beverage that we are all enjoying right now at the table.
Absolutely. This is one of our signature cocktails. It's called the Grapefruit Ricky. It has American Harvest vodka, Saint Germain, fresh squeezed grapefruit juice, and fresh squeezed lime juice.
What a way to start the morning. Well, thank you for bringing all the goodies. We appreciate that, and we'll get to Samantha and her story with Marlow's Tavern in just a minute, but we're going to start off with Bobby Moeck and Nexstar Communications. Bobby, thanks for joining us here in the studio.
Oh, you are welcome.
Tell us all about Nexstar Communications. I'm sure if you live here in the area, you've heard of Nexstar Communications, and you're the CEO and owner of the company, so tell us about the starting of the company and where you are today.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Actually, when you go back and you look at the years, pretty much the way it all developed was I started out with JCPenney, and I was a merchandise buyer for JCPenney for 10 years, and then left them, and actually I got Target department stores found me and recruited me. This is when I was in Texas, and they asked me to come on, and about 10 years, about 1989, I think it was, we decided to open up Target stores in Atlanta, Georgia. There was no Target stores here.
Wow.
So it was Richway at the time, and they asked me to move out from Texas and come to Georgia. And that was a big change of life right then. But came out here, and we opened up 13 Target stores in one day. So the JCPenney taught me the buying part, Target taught me the operation part, but then we went from there, and a company, Bill Crowley and Dan Hoover, who was Motorola dealers at that time, asked me if I would help open a retail store, which was Nextel. There's no retail stores here in Atlanta, and this was the first one. We opened one in Snellville on Highway 78, and it's still there with Jamie Britt. I was a Britt's group, and Jamie and me, it was really kind of strange. We did a handshake. That was our lease, and he would not sign a lease paper. He said, we're going to do this on this terms, and we kicked it off there and started with Nextel, and we came up with the name Nexstar. Part of the reason we came up with Nexstar is kind of the funny part was, at the time, the phone book was the key thing, and when you went to look for NE, you went to look for Nextel, then Nexstar would come up right next to Nextel.
That's great
so
marketing.
Times changed.
Yes.
So with my operations and my buying aspects and stuff like that, I was able to open the first store. And from there was history. We started growing like that.
Young people out there are going, what's a phone book?
Yeah, that's true.
But what does your company do? Tell us about the products and the services.
Well, now we're 100% Sprint. So we went through a couple mergers as a way, and that's what we're in right now, is in it kind of in the middle of a potential merger going on. But we started out with Nextel, which was, and we had PowerTel, and we had PowerTel, and we had AirTouch. AirTouch is now Verizon. PowerTel is now T-Mobile. Nextel is now Sprint. And so we stayed with Sprint, and that's who we're with now. We're a Sprint dealer. We have 33 stores all through Georgia, and I'm real proud of all of our team and all of our group of individuals that we have, and they're real explosive. So that's pretty much what we do. We do pretty much all the cell phones and all the extra stuff that comes along with that.
I am from the day of the Nextel chirp.
Okay, yeah.
In high school, I grew up out in the country in Brooks, Georgia, and that's
Okay.
how people communicated with the Nextel.
Yeah.
Everybody, all the fellas had the chirp chirp
Yeah.
on their side, and I'll remember that very well. It seems to have dissipated as a whole, that style of communication.
That's correct. That's correct. It's still an option out there that we have on some of our units, but very few. You know, when you go back in the 1990s and early 1990s, Builders One was the number one thing. You want to be on this Builders network. And that's how they communicated all the construction workers and everything else. And then there was a Builders 2, but Builders 2 never talked to Builders 1, and that frustrated a lot of the contractors. So it was a big change there.
I can understand how it would be frustrating.
Yeah.
Not only one of the things have you grown this business. Talk about how big you are today and the locations, and then I want to talk about your philosophy. But you've really grown this business since 1999 or 2000.
Yes, sir. We sure have. We've been, we started out with basically two locations, which was Snellville, and then we also went to Gainesville. And then our next one was Lawrenceville. Then we went through what we call explosive growth time. Mm-hmm. And we kept growing into the fact that we go all the way to Macon, I think, and we're up in Commerce. We have all the downtown area. So we're pretty well wide open there as far as the whole mindset. And that's kind of where we're at right now.
You're an authorized retailer for
Yes,
Sprint.
that's correct.
Do you have exclusivity for Sprint, or do other companies have that option as well?
There's only basically two. There's two. There's three of us here in Georgia that have exclusivity with Sprint.
Okay, so if I go somewhere and get Sprint, I might not necessarily be going through your company.
That's correct. That's correct. And there's corporate out there too. And we've taken over a couple of the corporate stores, but we're pretty much that way.
Well, I love the story. Congratulations on the success.
Yes.
I think part of the reason for your success is your philosophy,
Yes.
and you're focusing on growing and leadership. Talk a little bit about the philosophy. One of the notes I see here is that leadership development is a part of the Nexstar
Yes.
culture. Unpack that a little bit for us.
Well, I'm a big fan of leadership. So when we started the company, and way back when, one of the things I went looking for was, we did our mission. It's really kind of funny because you go through college. I went to Texas Tech, and you go through all the college, and you make a mission statement, you make a business plan, you do all that, and you go, do I really need this? And is this really true? And when I went back to that, and when we started our company, and it was something you really need to do. You need to know what you're all about, what your mission statement is, what your philosophies are, and start going there. One of the things I did, I really wanted to find a mentor or somebody that would did what I believed in, and I found John Maxwell. John's a really good dear friend of mine. We've been friends for about 20 years now, and the 21 Laws of Leadership, that was probably the perfect thing that we needed at the time to start developing our mindset or how we believe, and that means we believe in growing our leaders. You want to grow your organization, you grow your leaders. You want to grow your leaders, you focus within, and you make that kind of your whole mindset process. And so we started developing that, and we went in there and started developing our leadership styles with John's philosophy, not really bringing it out, but one of the things that's what we believed in. And then serving others, just all about leadership is about serving others, how we can help them grow, help them get to that next level, and understand that, one of the things that sometimes frustrates owners and stuff is turnover. And the philosophy that we're not a reservoir, but we're a river. And we understand people are going to come and go, and that's part of the process. But the more we pour into them, the more we develop them, the greater the seeds can be. And that's what we've watched. And some come back, and some don't. That's great. I mean, it goes both ways, but it's one of those mindsets. So that's the theory that we have. That's our whole mindset, and we've grown from that over the years. And it's helped us in our times of down times, and helps us in our times of good times, take that level.
I can tell you from an employee standpoint, I'm sure that all of the people on your team really appreciate all of the work that you put into them in an effort to help them succeed within your company. That's something that people my age or millennials struggle with, is opportunity for advancement within a company. So they do a lot of what you mentioned, just kind of pass through after a year goes by.
Right.
So it's wonderful to hear that you empower them as leaders.
Oh, thank you.
Another thing that is unique, well, not unique about your company, that I really appreciate that your company does, is giving back to the community. Talk about how you are giving back to the community that supports you.
Well, there's a couple of things that one of my goals when I graduated from Tech, when I was at Texas Tech, I did track and field, and then they asked me to stay the coach, and so I coached for a couple of years at Tech, and I always loved coaching, okay, but that wasn't my degree. My degree was management and marketing, and so what I ended up saying, well, instead of going the coaching path, I need to go the business path. But I promised myself one day I'd be back in coaching, and fast forward to 1995. A high school called Brookwood High School, which came to me and asked me, and it's a really crazy story how it all happened. But I met with Dave Hunter and a couple other coaches, and they asked me if I would come on their staff, which was really kind of a big deal at the time because Brookwood, is a powerhouse, and so is Parkview, and there's some others out there. And I ended up coming on there and started being a coach there. So I've coached there for 25 years. Through thick or thin, I was with Target, some of that comes in. So one of the ways I do is I go back and do that and give it to the community that way. And I love all the coaches. We've been very big sponsors of Gwinnett football for years, and hold the process there and give them that. We do a lot of things with the chamber. We've been with the chamber for many years too. But I think I've said this before. I think we have the best Gwinnett has the best high school coaches, I think, in the whole world. I grew up in Odessa, Texas, which Friday night football. I lived across the street from Odessa Permian, and I would definitely say that they're a powerhouse. But
you might alienate all your Texas friends.
They're not listening. So
they could be.
It could be. That's true. But that's what I really enjoy doing. It's just great to be out there and giving back that way. And then, we work with a bunch of the kids too off the side. And if I FCA, I've been involved with Coach Rick, and when he was there for 10 years with FCA and driving that business and helping that, and we do a lot even with NG. I forgot the name of it, but we deal with them also with helping with the faith and stuff in the school systems in the sports. So we're real big on that.
A thing that, and by the way, we're talking with Bobby Moeck. He's the CEO and owner of Nexstar Communications here on Gwinnett Business Radio. We talked before the show. We know your daughter-in-law. Amanda knows your son pretty well. And I asked if he was involved in the business, and you said a lot of the family's involved in the business. It wasn't like kind of planned that way, but it just kind of ended up that way.
Yeah, I've been it's a blessing, it's be able to work with your family. It's a challenge at the same time. I've actually gotten relationships with other business owners that have family involved too. All the family is involved from my son-in-law is also involved, my daughter, Melanie, Matt, who's the head of all of the sales and everything else. And then you have Melanie's HR, and you go down to Michael's running Gainesville, Amanda's running accessories. So it's all spread out there. I don't see them every day, so I guess that's kind of good. They're out in the field, but it is part of it because they see the values and they see what I do as far as behind the scene, my faith and our walk with the Lord and stuff like that. So and teaching them some of the values of business and stuff like that. So it's a good thing.
Let me ask you this, Bobby. We have a lot of business leaders, entrepreneurs that listen to Business Radio X. By any characteristics or stretch of the imagination, looking at your career, you've been a success with how you've built this up in Nexstar Communications and how well it's doing. If there's anything that you could go back and change over the years, would there be anything that you would have done differently?
Great question. What would I have done differently going back? Well, I would probably planned a little bit more on the family. Because one of the things that's different about the family is you get in there, especially when we get to the age where I'm at right now, and you look at the family, you didn't anticipate that in part of the process as you go in. So as a legacy, do you pass that on, or do you have to go another direction? And I think that's one of the things that where I'm at in my crossroads right now is how far do we take this? And then how can we, if we can do it, how can we maneuver and strategically pass it on, or do I need to do it in another direction? And that was never on when I started out, it was never a part of the process. It was all about just, growing people and doing all that and making all that process. But now my wife and I are at a point where we're thinking about what we want to do next. It's a struggle. That's one of the things that we're dealing with and making that happen. As far as any of the changes, as far as leadership and all the things, no, I think, I think one of the things that happened from Target was a career, and I thought that was going to be my life too. But then when I went over to Nexstar and started Nexstar and doing that, it went from a career to a calling, and the calling was huge, and that's a big deal when you jump over that. If here I was, an athlete at Texas Tech and coaching and everything else, and number one was important. Winning was the philosophy. I mean, they paid me to win. I was not paid to go out there and have a good time. I was paid to win and compete and do that. And then to shift over from saying, okay, winning's not everything, but to learn how to take it to a calling type thing was a big mind change. And winning was not no longer how many points were on the board. Winning was how many people have you worked with and grown and do that. And I think that's where the big difference really came, and my whole life changed once that happened, because I realized there was a lot more to this than what you see.
I have one more question. Sorry to monopolize all the questions, Amanda, but as you look at the career and how well you've done and how I'm so blown away by your story that I kind of forgot the question, but now it's come back to me. You talked about being in the corporate world working for Target.
Right.
You then took that leap of faith, started your own business. What would you say to that person who's out there working in the corporate world, who's listening to this, that has ideas of being an entrepreneur, going out on their own, but not really sure if they should do it or not? What advice would you give the person that's maybe on that fence right now?
Well, I'm a man of faith, so that's kind of one of the first things I do. When fear knocks, let faith open. It's kind of my philosophy that I go into that. When you sit down and you pray, you think about it. It is a big leap of faith, but to go forward, I think that's one of the challenges that you can definitely drive into it. So, go ahead.
Oh, I wasn't meaning to interrupt, but I think that all of the fundamentals that you've just mentioned, faith included, have really laid the groundwork for your success. And I think that you've been able to instill that upon your team. So forward is the only way for you to go.
Yeah, it is. And that's true. When there is one thing, when you look at athletics or college athletics and stuff like that, you do develop a mindset. Losing is not an option. Okay, and you know how to kick it in. Okay, and I'm not just saying athletics. It's just you can do that in your business world. But you need to understand. I remember I found an inner circle. That's a good point. I forgot about that. When I first started Nexstar, way back when, it was Mr. McGill, Kurt McGill, who played in Max and all those guys. Mm-hmm. I found 5 business leaders in Gwinnett County that I respected at the time, and I went and talked to them, and I asked them, what is the good things and bad things that could happen. And I remember the couple of them said that you're going to have a lot of sleepless nights. You're taking a big leap here. And I remember going through that, and Mr. Madden, I can keep naming the names, and that was my inner circle. Now, the thing that you have to understand when you develop that was a great inner circle, but I outgrew that inner circle, and you keep growing that circle. So you still love them, because they were the foundation that helped you. But find that group of individuals that you can kind of relate to and trust to, and find them in different areas. I think is huge, and that was a big thing that I did that we did as a company, and we found that, and they helped me with the first part, and then went on from there. Dave Hunter was an inspiration to me. There's many people like that went out there. So I think that's a key part. Find that, and then winning and losing is not an option. That mindset, and really understand that. You have to really take yourself to that next level.
And I like how you mentioned developing your inner circle and then growing it to your sphere of influence. That's very important, not to limit yourself within where you achieved your beginning of success.
Yeah, you're very much so, because you will eventually outgrow that as you get bigger and bigger. make that happen.
I have a feeling you're going to continue to outgrow those circles as you move forward. Congratulations on all your success. And Bobby, thank you for joining us here and sharing your story all about Nexstar Communications.
No, thank you for inviting me.
For those that would like to find out more about Nexstar Communications and maybe become a customer of yours or a client, where can they get more information, find out about your locations, all that good stuff?
Oh, sure. You can go on Nexstar Communication, go on the internet and just Google us that way, or just...
I'll help you out here,
Okay.
Bobby. I got a couple things here. You can find them on Instagram. They are available on the World Wide Web. And then the phone number that was provided for one of the locations is 770-616-5413.
See, Amanda's our social media expert here at Business Radio X. Bobby, thank you again for joining us here on the program.
Thank you.
Bobby Moeck, the CEO and owner of Nexstar Communications here on Gwinnett Business Radio. And as you heard in the open of the show, that Gwinnett Business Radio is cared for by Eastside Medical Center, quality care close to home. Eastside Medical Center has been a community healthcare leader for over 39 years, nationally recognized for patient safety. Eastside focuses on delivering quality care with exceptional outcomes by using the most advanced technology and experienced physicians. For more information on Eastside's system of care, visit eastsidemedical.com. Joining us now from Marlow's Tavern, one of the favorite places of Amanda and myself, is Samantha Guley. Samantha is the catering manager for 3 Marlow's locations right here in our Gwinnett County area. Samantha, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you again for the
Delicious
drinks.
beverage. Grapefruit Ricky.
Hey, I'm all out. Do we have more back there?
We
I
can't
should've
drink
brought
that much
4
in the
or
morning.
5.
Yeah.
For those that are not familiar with Marlow's Tavern, number 1, shame on them, but number 2, tell us all about Marlow's.
Okay, so Marlow's is an awesome trend-setting tavern / restaurant. It's amazing. They're constantly evolving, changing their menu. You've got chef-inspired food, handcrafted cocktails with fresh squeezed juices, just all different kinds of new liquors, and it's just such an awesome thing to be a part of.
And you are the catering manager. So tell us about your day-to-day duties there. And a lot of folks may not realize that you guys do catering.
We actually do. So as I mentioned about our chef-driven food and our fresh ingredients, and we also bring that to the catering end of things. Mm-hmm. So I've actually been with Marlow's for a little over 10 years. Wow. So I've gotten to see the evolution of them.
10 years?
You know,
you're seasoned.
Wow.
I've gotten to see them grow, and it's been such a blessing to personally grow with them as well. But catering can be intimidating.
It can be.
People don't know where to start. They don't know how much, of what kind, any of that stuff. So I'm happy to help with all of those questions. We can make it simple for you, but we can also just bring these top-notch, house-made
delicious
food
items. I will tell you, I participate in a lot of the Young Professionals events here in Gwinnett, and you guys are one of the top sponsors. So your delicious food is always present at the events. The cocktails aren't, though. Maybe we need to talk to them about that.
Maybe we should work on that.
But definitely the chips and all of the offerings that you bring are sure to be a favorite within those events. So I can only imagine that you woo all of your other clients.
Absolutely. So yeah, if you're in Tavern, you definitely have to check out some of our signature items like the shrimp and grits, like the grapefruit Ricky, which we just got to taste here.
Yeah.
The tuna pokey is awesome. JT's kettle chips. I could go on and on about the burgers. But,
Swordfish sandwich, pastrami egg rolls.
all that good stuff.
It's my local watering hole. Hey, tell us just a little bit about what you guys do as far as being involved with the community. I mentioned Young Professionals, but what type of efforts do you guys do here in Gwinnett?
Okay. We actually partner with Special Olympics every year with all of our Atlanta locations. So we do Special Olympics Georgia. We take donations inside the taverns, and that essentially goes to help the athletes, like with their equipment or transportation. And it's a really cool thing. We do a charity golf tournament at the end of the season after we get done raising all the money, and the athletes get to come, and all the big sponsors get to meet them and play golf, and we have fun events on all the golf holes. So that's always a good time. I always work the holes with the grapefruit Ricky.
And you are a specialty maker here.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
We also partner with No Kid Hungry. We, again, take donations in our taverns, and that goes to support local families that are in need of meals, anybody struggling. And it's great to be able to give back to especially the people within your community.
I would agree.
And then we also never miss a chance to serve up some of our signature Bloody Marys at charity golf tournaments.
I bet that's a popular hole.
No, we do that at registration.
Oh,
so
at registration.
You register, and then you come get a Bloody Mary.
Start things off right.
Hey, it's like breakfast of champions.
A couple holes in, they're doing bogeys and double bogeys. But
Hey,
they don't care.
They don't care.
They don't care. They're feeling good.
Absolutely.
I want to go back to something, Samantha, you mentioned. You've been there for 10 years. In the restaurant, bar, tavern business, people don't stay in one place for a long time. So there must be something about the culture at Marlow's Tavern that keeps you there. Talk about what it is about Marlow's that makes it unique and special.
Absolutely. He was talking about that earlier. This is kind of like a vehicle. It can take you where you want to go. It can be a stepping stone for you. It can be long term. What Marlow's does culturally is they really teach you about hospitality and attending to those little details that make people feel special, because there's so many few instances and places in life where you feel special. Like if you go to the bank or the grocery store, just remembering somebody's name and something about them, whether they love the Grapefruit Ricky, or they're a coach, or that their kids just celebrated a 5-year anniversary. So just those little things are huge. And culturally, just we're all about hospitality and taking care of people and respect and caring, whether that's for our team members, our management staff, the guests that come into the taverns. And I was very fortunate to have the same general manager and same management staff pretty much for about 9 of those years I was with the Duluth Marlows.
Wow.
So her name's Glenda Barta, by the way.
Yes. And then also the product that you guys serve to the community is unique and, like you said, fresh, chef-inspired. It's always consistent, and it's something that is different than everybody else.
Well, it's great because we try to be that benchmark that all the other restaurants try to achieve. We're changing our menu twice a year. We're bringing in those seasonal, fresh things. Our chefs get to create daily specials. Our bartenders can come up with daily cocktail specials, and we just have a plethora of amazing ingredients and products to work with to come up with some special things for our neighborhoods.
The ingredients are definitely quality.
We're talking with Samantha Guley with Marlow's Tavern, and going back to your job as the catering manager, what types of events can you cater to? How big, how small?
So that's a great question. If you just have, we offer boxed lunches. So if you want a couple of boxed lunches, down the road, that's fine. We can do that. We can do large events. We can do weddings. We can do, like you were mentioning earlier, the Gwinnett Young Professionals events. So there's really, no too big,
limit.
not too small, no limit. So you just feel free to contact me. My cell phone number is 404-641-3006. And if I don't happen to be your market catering manager, I'm happy to direct you to the person that can assist you, if you're not necessarily in the Gwinnett area.
You're working for the ownership group that has 3 Marlows in the Gwinnett County area, is that correct?
Yes.
Why don't you share those locations so people know that they're supporting you?
Absolutely. So we have the Buford location, which is located in the Mall of Georgia, kind of near the food court area. We also have the Duluth location, which is at Satellite and Sugarloaf, very close to the Infinite Energy Arena, which is formerly the Gwinnett Arena. People always get confused. They're like, wait, where's the Infinite Energy Center? And you're like, oh, no, it's the Gwinnett Arena. And then we also have our most recent location, which is in Peachtree Corners. It's actually right across from the Forum. They just built like a new plaza over there with a big green space. Mm-hmm. So they actually changed up the Marlow's look a little bit. So there's some new decor, some new colors. They've got an amazing team. That was actually the last opening I did with the company. I was a corporate trainer for a little while and opened up some of their locations.
Talk about the atmosphere in a Marlow's location, because I've been to the Duluth location, I've been to the Mall of Georgia location, and it's not like it's a sports bar. It's got a very nice vibe. I don't know how, you could probably explain it better than me. There's, the feeling you get when you walk into Marlow's.
So you really want to have that warm welcome. You want to have, it should be relaxed professionalism. So when you go, whether you're dining at the bar or at a table, your server or bartender is going to be extremely knowledgeable about the products and the offerings that we carry. But also, you can meet your friends there. You can meet for cocktails. You can bring your family in. You can have a business meeting there. There are some TVs in there, but if you'll notice, they're not in your face. They're not obtrusive, so they're there if you want to look at them. We try to keep a good rotation on the televisions too, so it's not just all sports. You typically aren't going to hear the sound of a game on in there either. So
it's really it really is conducive to community, like you said. That you have the large family style sharing tables that I've sat at many times with people that I don't know, which is awesome. And then you have your beautiful patio, and I've dined there many times for luncheons as a professional, and then after hours as well. So it encompasses all of those things.
For those that would like to know more about Marlow's Tavern, check you out. You gave the locations of the 3 in Gwinnett County. Is there a website people can check you out at?
There's marlowstavern.com, and from that point, you can select locations, and then you can select the Duluth, Buford locations, and then that'll lead you to the catering. We're in the works with a catering website right now. So
Sam is being humble because she is definitely featured on the website. If you go to the website, you will see her front and center.
For better or worse.
For better or worse.
It's better.
Well, that's wonderful stuff. So remember, Marlow's does offer catering. Go to the website. All the information's there, and you're working on
the catering website. Also, if you need to contact me directly, other than my cell phone, my email address is S as in Samantha, Guley at metzcorp.com. That's METZCORP.com.
Great. Samantha, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you for bringing all the goodies. I can't wait to sample.
We can't wait to dive in as soon as the show is over. So we won't make this last much longer. We'll go ahead and wrap up the show. Samantha Guley with Marlow's Tavern. Want to thank her for joining us on the program. Also, Bobby Moeck with Nexstar Communications as well. Before we go, I want to remind you that love is what makes a Subaru. Get big savings and enjoy their hassle-free experience. Subaru of Gwinnett is where people sell cars. Visit SubaruofGwinnett.com and join their family today. Come on in and see the difference. If you're already a Subaruist, then follow Subaru of Gwinnett's Facebook page for the latest Subaru offers, news, and community events. And much like our guests today, Subaru is also a big player in the local community, and we appreciate all their support, not only in the business, the community out there, but the business community, and here at Business Radio X. Again, thank you to our guests for joining us. If you can listen to this program anytime you want, 24/7, by going to businessradiox.com, select the Gwinnett Studio, and click on the show Gwinnett Business Radio. You'll see not only this episode, but almost 6 years worth of episodes with, I want to say, hundreds and hundreds, maybe even thousands of business leaders that we've interviewed over this last 6.5 years here in Gwinnett County. Amanda, any parting words?
If you guys are not already following us on social media, please like our Facebook page so you can see all of the wonderful things that we're doing in the community. In addition, we are on Twitter and LinkedIn.
Great. For Amanda, for our producer Trey, I'm Mike. We'll see you next time here on Gwinnett Business Radio.
To be the man, you got to beat the man. Woo!